Alright guys, welcome to Beyond the Metalverse. This is actually a special episode. We call it episode 0 because this is a compilation of all the stuff that we filmed before coming into this podcast studio. So I gotta preface you to let you know that everything is unfortunately in vertical format, so it might look a little bit weird, but you know, that's life, so that's how it is.
Life is weird.
Life is weird, so... how did this start, by the way? Do you remember? How did we start doing this thing?
I knew Rob was coming, and from Cannibal Corpse, Rob Barrett, and Rob's like, yeah, let's have a powwow. That was the beginning, is you coming over and shooting the Rob Barrett chats.
Yeah, so initially the Rob Barrett interview was part of the Cynic documentary, and I got the call to basically help film that segment. So that's how it started. Basically, I went with my cameras to Paul's house, and we filmed an interview between Paul and Rob.
Yeah.
And then that was just supposed to be it. And then we had this idea of, well, maybe kind of, rather than sitting on all this footage and waiting for the Cynic documentary to be released, let's do some promo stuff. So what I ended up doing I started cutting out pieces from that footage and posting it. And the reaction we got from the get-go was amazing. So that's kind of how it started. And we were like, okay, let's do another one. And I went over to Paul's house and we spoke about Cynic. And that's where we started filming a little bit of things where little clips of him talking about him and Cynic, and those did really well too. So we're like, okay, this is doing good. And then eventually, Paul met up with somebody from this place called Music City, right?
Yeah. The guy that runs the place, essentially, or the main manager, Brian, who's really kind of excited because at some point I saw the upstairs and all these other rooms, and I was like, wow, what's going on with this room? And that's when you came and saw it as well, and we talked about, wow, maybe we could have an official location and this could actually turn into something. What's been really encouraging about this process is how organic it's been. Great location.
Yeah, we were never planning to do a podcast. Like, we didn't want to do this. It just kind of happened to be so where our clips that we were posting got popular enough. So yeah, the following, you'll see those clips and you be the judge.
Yeah, there was probably a phone number of some of those early demos.
So in your early demos, did you leave your phone numbers and contact info?
Yeah.
Did bands do that? Was it common for bands to do that? No.
It was kind of just like, get in touch with us.
And people just call your house?
It was like, I don't know, phone numbers were more common then. People were, because there was even in the underground, there was this list of, I think I even saw people from Metallica's phone numbers at one point, but of course I got Tom Araya and I got all the Slayer guys' numbers, and I called all of them once and maybe talked to Tom a few times, but Tom was the nicest. I got Kerry on the phone. He was really mean, and then Lombardo too. They're like, "Who are you? What the hell are you calling me?" But I remember Tom being very sweet. I remember telling him I was like, hey, I learned cryonics, and he's like, play it for me, and I put the phone right up to my little PV in my bedroom and fucking played parts of the riffs and shit, and he was like, damn, that's pretty good, kid, It was like, but yeah, it was, I got Chuck's number via friends in the scene. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have ever had, the contact with Death and all that. It's like it turned into a friendship. Yeah, it's interesting to think about this generation. They'll be like, oh yeah, I've got friends and da-da-da-da, but they've probably never met them or even talked to them on the phone. To me, it was always like there's a different degree of what becomes a real friend versus like an acquaintance.
We don't want to do a podcast. We're looking at the comments and people are like, when's a podcast episode coming out? And the truth is we don't have one. And we're like, who's going to listen to this 3-hour conversation?
I like to not strategize too hard and to really keep it organic.
I'm against the idea of just having two people just talking. We're like, who's going to listen to this 3-hour conversation? In my mind, I was thinking, so maybe there's an interview for 30 minutes and then play games with them. Have a poker thing. It might be cool if we got Corpse Grinder, Glenn Benton, and Abbott and have them all play poker or something like that, We aren't too far away from certain venues in San Francisco. Dude, Behemoth is coming. Can we get Nurgle?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Hey, Nurgle, come on the podcast. And
maybe.
Nurgle's going to be of course. And they'll show up. You know what's funny, though, is I was just on tour with Belphegor and Hate. But I tried to get them to talk to me on camera, but they would not do it. Because, Belphegor, they wear that corpse paint just like Behemoth too, and Hate too. They have that whole image, so they felt it important to keep that image. So I tried to film him, and then Helmuth was like, "No, I can't. I will not do it." And then Adam from Hate, he gave me this whole lecture. It's like, musicians, they try to do this thing now, and it's beyond, it's beneath us. And
I mean, I will say I respect any artists, and there is something really cool about still trying to maintain some degree of mystery and intrigue and not be this like hyper disclosed, like everyone's just sharing everything in their, it's almost like it's gotten so noisy.
So what do you guys think? Give us some ideas. What should we call our podcast?
No, it's not a podcast.
It's not a podcast. It's not a podcast.
It's not a podcast.
Is there a podcast?
Does it need a name?
Yeah.
I mean,
name for the show?
Yeah.
Well, if people are looking for it, it's got to be something, because eventually,
that's true.
Yeah, as people find out about us, they're not looking for it. So we got to come up with a name.
Again, it is kind of nice to not put boundaries on it. Like the more free it is, the more kind of, again, keeping this organic approach where it's like, just keep it real to what's genuinely of interest to us rather than like putting it in a box from the beginning.
Do you know the orchestral hit sound? That's actually from Stravinsky.
No way.
I didn't know that.
I think I naturally was weird. It's just like go and get into Stravinsky or, what's his name? Fucking, you know what I'm talking about.
What?
It's considered classical, but it's really like jazz, It's really like...
Oh, Gershwin.
No, Gershwin was more like songwriting
But
to me.
but I mean more jazz, like Debussy?
Yeah, like Debussy.
Oh, yeah. You know what was funny? It kind of jogged my memory a minute. When we talked about Stravinsky, I recently found out, the orchestral hit sound? That's actually from the Firebird Symphony.
No way.
I didn't know that.
Like it's just that
it's
chord?
It's like that chord. Yeah,
wow.
They pulled it from the Firebird Symphony.
Interesting.
So all the orchestral hits, that's in the Children of Bodom songs, are all coming from
Stravinsky.
Yeah, Stravinsky.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know, but you actually played on Masters on the seventh day God created Master.
We had made Focus. Obviously, Scott knew how we were in the studio and stuff, and he called me one day, literally out of the blue, and was like, dude, I'm in the middle of this record. They fired their guitarist. We need help. Can you come up, like, tomorrow? And I was like, okay. In like 2-3 days, like, we cut everything. Paul Speckman would show me the song, I'd cut the song, show me the next song, and then it was like, okay, guitar solo, record, bam. It's like, okay, fucking...
Was it all improv?
All improv.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I remember being like horrified because I was so like, you're suddenly improvising over these songs that you have nothing to do with and nothing to do with the chord changes. And that's when you realize like how fast these things can happen. Scott needed a hand. So I like drove up to Tampa and went and cut guitars. Go back and practice more before you want to make that recording. Like get it right.
So there was this controversy about how there were people scrutinizing certain musicians online and saying, oh, they're faking stuff.
Of course, the manipulation of art and through technical formats like video or audio, I mean, it's its own world and it has a right to exist like any other. Like we had an experience, we had Trace Denaire, the demos. A friend in the business says, oh, you should go cut it with this young dude who's really got a lot of cool stuff going on. And so we're like, okay, sure, we're open to trying him out. And so we sent him the files. And the first thing he did is he immediately drum replaced Reinert's kick drum, snare drum. Like we're just like, what the hell is wrong with, like, what's going on here? And Sean's like, I think he literally replaced my snares and my drum. In my mind, I was like, do you not realize what kind of drummer you're dealing with? This guy knows everything is intentional. And we're like, dude, did you? And he's like, oh yeah, that's just default what I do with every drum track I receive these days. And we're like, not Cynic. Don't go sliding guitar tracks. Don't go moving, replacing snare drums. And so it was this moment of like, wow, that's a generational thing. In his mind, he immediately had to fix the drums. And it's like, and I feel there's this laziness and a thing that's happened with a certain kind of musician where they expect it to be fixed later. And it's like, no, get it right from the get-go. And if you're not able to do that, then I feel like you have more homework to do. Go back and spend more time with your instrument.
This medium where these people, they're basically making clips every week or maybe even every few days. And the one that they're making has to be better than the one before. So at this point, they're not trying to have sort of artistic integrity. It's more of they're trying to make something entertaining and flashy so people would click on it. I mean, some of these people who produce these clips are sponsored. Like
So they have real deadlines.
endorsements,
and-
sponsorships.
So they got to pump some shit out.
They have to. So they're stuck with that under pressure. So sometimes it's their source of income too.
Personally, I feel like the more you're willing to bear your humanity and your flaws, the more weight you're going to have, like the cooler this gets.
And I remember Chuck and I were like hanging out, and he's like, there's a party tonight at this barn in Tampa. It was a bunch of bands playing. I want to say Nocturnus played, Amon with the time, that was pre-TSI, Executioner, which were Obituary before they became Obituary. Of course, I remember Dave Vincent at the show. I remember like everybody in the scene was there.
Yeah, sounds like everyone's there.
It was like all of the bands. It was probably more bands in the audience than audience kind of thing. And
sounds like a local show.
Yeah, basically. First off, I'll never forget Glenn kicking over these Virgin Mary statues. He had these like kind of cheap concrete statues at the time. It's like kicking them off the heights of the stage. And you know, they just sounded so unbelievably brutal. It was just like, holy shit. And then I remember Executioner get on and Tardy, and it was just like, wow, you know, it was like, holy, like he didn't even say words at that time. It just sounds. But it felt like they were young. I mean, we were all like at that point. But I also distinctly remember Dave Vincent coming up to Chuck, because they knew each other from the scene, and him saying, I really like the dry vocal approach on Spiritual Healing, because it was a very progressive approach to a lot of those albums. They were adding a lot of reverb, and it was like Spiritual Healing was this very dry, in your face kind of guttural vocal. No one was doing that, and I remember him kind of specifically saying that to him, which was really interesting. But yeah, it was a really beautiful time, because you think about these, you have churches and retired people, and so this was just like the boredom of youth responding to just like, you know, what are you going to do, right? And again, it probably kept a lot of people out of trouble. It was all a response to that environment.
It makes sense, because I think people people grow under oppression like that.
Yeah.
That's why I always said, like, my favorite band, one of my favorite death metal bands is Cryptopsy. And they came out of Montreal. It's always became so cold up there. That's where like, they're hiding inside and they're angry and make angry music.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, maybe Central Florida was so hot. There was also Sweden had its own interesting parallel.
Yeah.
There was Entombed and all those bands coming out of there that were kind of doing their version of the scene. It was.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Gothenburg metal. It seems like, it's so cold. That's
what it is, yeah.
It's just so cold up there too.
So cold.
They're just so cold. They're staying inside, and their sun, they have a few months where there's no sun too.
Right.
So they're stuck inside, getting angry, pissed off, and they make great music, great art.
Okay, well, this is Paul Masvidal.
I mean, I had a friendship with Chuck that went much further back. I want to say that was like 87. And I remember I was in the tape trading scene. I was just like, we were all sharing music. You were living for snail mail back then. So I was already kind of chatting with Chuck, but then I got his phone and I was like, dude, man, that demo is so rad. And he was like an older brother to me, but we like immediately hit it off. And then it kind of turned into a thing where, you know, 89 rolled around. I was in high school and he had just parted with Rick Ross. It was the end of the Leprosy tour cycle. And he's like, dude, I need a guitar player. I've got a show in Mexico. Can you do it? And I was like, yes. And here I go and, you know, miss my high school graduation to go do a show with Death. And I had no idea really what Death's, like what their popularity was. And we end up in Mexico City, and they were like the Beatles there. I mean, it literally blew my mind. It was like, I mean, they packed this little arena place. The fans were like insane. And I went from, essentially being this little bedroom musician to like suddenly my first foray into a real legitimate kind of working band. And I owe that to Chuck. Gave me an opportunity. Even Beavis and Butthead did a moment where they did a commentary on Chuck and death songs.
I'd like 2 tacos, please, and a small order of fries to go.
That was pretty good, Beavis. You suck almost as much as this dude.
Another big moment, I think, for Chuck was MTV had this thing called Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
And Death, we made a video for Lack of Comprehension. It was a big deal, I think, for a death metal band to end up on MTV, right? It was really kind of the end of the glam era. So there was this shift with grunge and all that stuff, but it was still like, not that kind of music was not getting mainstream exposure. But then I think that was a big moment, having that video of Lack of Comprehension. But then Beavis and Butthead did a moment where they did a commentary on Chuck and death songs.
Yeah, I remember it.
You remember? So that was like, so we had these like moments that were seemingly small. It was like a wave that kind of expanded over time. Just recently saw a video, by the way, which I hadn't seen, of the Spiritual Healing Tour shows, because I'd never seen any footage, and someone just sent me something of like...
I wonder how many people are hoarding these secret VHS types of things.
I think they just sit in shelves in people's rooms and they don't even know they have it. It's like, and then they're like, oh shit. And I think I gave Chuck one. I remember it was something like related to the cosmic sea. And it was like, I was also going deep into like spiritual practice, like in terms of meditation. It was like,
how did you initially get into all that?
I was a kid that was interested in this since a young age.
So you were always interested.
Yeah, I had a mother who actually took me to an occult bookstore and just saying, buy whatever you want, you figure this out. I was like, what can I get my mom to be shocked by? I was like, the 3 books I picked was the Satanic Bible, and then a book on magic. I can't remember what the 3rd book was. My mom was not fazed at all. I there was a time where Sean and I were wearing inverted crosses because we weren't raised in religious environments. But I saw how it was messing up my friends, and I was like, fuck these people, fuck the church. So we were very rebellious against all of that, and it created a playground for me to explore ideas and things. And I remember just it was a Yogananda book. And he's like, this Hindu teacher, but really advanced thinker, an incredible mind and prolific. And I remember, it's funny, like even in the tape trading scene, I'd have these little pamphlets from Yogananda and I would give them to people. And I think I gave Chuck one about something, and I remember it was something like related to the cosmic sea. And it was like, yeah, it was like, and then, that ended up being a line in Cynic Spread a Wave to as well. But there was like a poem of Yogananda's that had something about a cosmic sea. And then when we wrote that instrumental in the studio, because we needed an extra song, because we had all this extra time. So, when we went to Cut Human, we had a whole week dedicated for Sean's drums, but Sean cut his drums in like a day.
Okay.
So it was like Sean was done. We cut everything.
Saved everyone some money.
Saved a lot of money. So it's like, what are we going to do with all this extra time? Well, at the end, after cutting everyone else's stuff, we did this instrumental, and Chuck named it Cosmic Sea, which I feel like I can't help but say that was me being
your idea.
Well, not an idea, but he picked up on some of my,
makes sense.
And it wasn't like I was trying to push it on anybody, but I was genuinely excited about all this stuff, and I still am. And there's people like Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the great American thinkers.
He's the one that wrote Veil of Maya.
Yeah, well, there was a line from his. Yeah, it was from one of his poems. He had a book I think it's called Self-Reliance, and that really spoke to me, especially like that's a big part of Focus. It was like, wow, like it's up to you. It's your own, you have to become your own therapist. You have to think, you have to harness your mind. Death to All was started by a sick drummer guy. We were on a Cynic tour, and he says, I've got this idea, man, the legacy of Death. We're just gonna do like 5 cities. It was really cool, and it was really successful from the get-go. And then Eric Reif, who was dealing with the estate, swooped in. So you can't do that, that's mine. Eric saw money. So it created this attention, and he was helpful for me for many periods of my career. I've never seen somebody cause so much harm and do so much good at the same time.
Honestly, you told me if it weren't for him, death wouldn't be this popular now. It's him just pushing death constantly.
I would love to think that the weight of Chuck's catchy death metal songs, it did the work, but really behind the scenes was a manager sleeplessly online until his deathbed, posting, commenting, building a world around death, and it worked. I'm actually glad that Gene got it back. It's doing great and it's lovely. I brought Max into it. Max, if you squint your eyes and just listen, it actually sounds like as damn close to Chuck as you're gonna get. He was playing a Steinberger when I went for my first guitar lesson, and I was just like, what is that?
But do people come up and tell you what's wrong with their guitar? Why is their guitar broken?
I mean, people don't realize it's like, I'll bring up an interesting connection when you say that, because it wasn't cool to play a headless guitar at all. No one liked you. Everyone was just like, what's wrong with you? Why are you playing that thing? It's hideous. Like,
there's still people still come up to me and tell me like how much they hate my instrument.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, it's funny. And you think about, where does that come from? Well, if you break the rules, you're breaking this model of what people understand the instrument to be, and somehow something's wrong with it, because it goes against what they know. You start to realize that breaking the rules and not following norms and not following traditions and is actually cool and way cooler. And then I had people like Robert Venosa, who did all our record covers other than Ascension Codes, which was his widowed wife, Martina Hoffman. He was my mentor too, telling me, go with the unorthodox ideas. Your job is to go out, to bring something new to the table. And so our job was like, we're gonna push. So one of my favorite bands back then was Voivod. Because I was like, they sound so fucking weird. I'm just gonna say they're my favorite band because they're so weird. You know, like it was that alone made them cool. You know, not to mention they were fucking cool. They still are. But you know, a guitar like this, it spoke to me. It was not only like that it was a statement, but it just made sense to me. And I had this phenomenal teacher who was a fucking beast of a musician. It just, my brain just went, and this is all like pre-focus, right? So this is like,
so it was just building up.
It was all building up. Yeah, all this information, all these ideas, all this free thinking. We were hustling, trying to get gigs. Had a Discovery Channel Kids show, Third Rock from the Sun, and that 70s show. Like, all these shows really took off. We kind of quietly dissolved. We didn't really tell anybody.
So after Cynic kind of dissolved, did you immediately move to LA?
Yeah, no, I moved. I kind of was coming back and forth. I saw that Scott Henderson and Joe DiOrio were teaching at MI. I went to MI and I did an audition, and they gave me a free ride. Like, Sean and I kept talking on the phone, and I was like, you gotta get out here. And Sean was like, yeah, let's do it. So he moves out, and we actually started this composition company called MRI, which was Masvidal Reinert, you know. It was like, so we had this like business cards made, and we were hustling, trying to get gigs, which we got a lot of different gigs, scoring little short films. Had a Discovery Channel Kids show called ARC, Animal Rescue Kids.
Did you did Operation Junkyard?
Operation Junkyard. It was like, yeah, like, fuck it, we're fuck bands, we're gonna be composers. Yeah, and you know, interestingly enough, my brother's neighbor, and she was a junior agent at CAA at the time. Basically, I remember going up to her and just saying, hey, I'm trying to break into business. And she's like, oh, well, I've got this new composer guy. He has a show called Men Behaving Badly. It's a Carsey Warner show, and he's looking for an assistant. So I went and interviewed with him, and he knew of Cynic. And he was like, man, you're overqualified for this gig. You don't mind getting me coffee and like running errands and stuff? I'm like, no, I don't mind. Like, I just wanted to
the door.
I just wanted to be in the world. I mean, just, it was such a new world for me. So I ended up in his world and really started out just getting coffee for him and running errands. And then next thing you know, he throws me bones. He was like, oh, go play this cue, do this part. And it was little by little, because he knew I had some chops, he started to give me opportunities. And then, you know, his career really blossomed, because Men Behaving Badly was the entry point, but then he had Third Rock from the Sun and that 70s show. And it was like all these shows really took off. It was kind of the end of that era of syndicated television.
Yeah.
But it was incredible, because I was in the middle of all of this, just being in studio environments, having to play every style and read charts. And, you know, it it's a different kind of musicianship. Not to
You need to be well-rounded because it calls for a different type of genre,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, because I spent years doing also library music where we made records of like you're ripping off other bands,
Yeah.
you know, and they would license these.
It's your background music stuff.
Yeah,
like that, right?
yeah, it's for basically a lot of the television networks and films, they didn't want to pay for the real license, so you do something that ripped it off just close enough. You made some good money back then.
Well, to me, what's incredible about this story is that, you know, so you dissolved Cynic, or Cynic kind of faded away. You're heartbroken, and you moved to LA, and like, yeah, I'm gonna start a career as a musician here in LA.
Yeah.
And I find that incredible that you were able to do that, and because a lot of people go to LA and they just get eaten up.
This is what spoke to me about the meaning of the name Cynic, because I found that name flipping through a dictionary. They were merging a lot of Eastern traditions, bringing it to the West, right? And then there was Henry David Thoreau, who wrote In the Woods or whatever. Like, I think he left society, realized that this idea that you're supposed to be a functioning member of society, which was a very pushed idea in the West, is get a job, make money, you know, and it still is. It's like this idea of very materialistic approach to existence. He kind of rebelled against all of that and
Went into the woods.
Went into the woods.
Kind of like the Unabomber.
Except he didn't bomb
He didn't bomb
people. Even going further back, this is what spoke to me about the meaning of the name Cynic. Because I found that name flipping through a dictionary. My mom used to have a big Webster's dictionary in like the living room, and I would always flip through it and like catch a weird word. And I remember seeing Cynic, and it said like, oh, a member of an ancient Greek philosophy, you know, part of the Stoics, and virtue constitutes happiness, and the essence of virtue is self-control. And I was like, cool, this is fucking cool. And it looked like, you know, it had that like the CY and then the NIIC.
Yeah.
It's like
The symmetry.
yeah. What is that called? When it has the symmetry, it's a
It's not a palindrome. But it's not a palindrome.
not quite.
Yeah, not quite.
Yeah. There's anyways, almost there. If it was two Y's.
If it was
right?
or an I.
But it kind of in the same way that it's the Y is like an I.
Yeah.
But it was like, again, this type of thinking was all part of like what appealed to me. It was like, oh yeah, thinking for yourself. And so that sense of rebellion is what, you know, helped to create an art form, I think, in a sense, because you're not trying to copy people. You're trusting in your own unorthodox ideas that are through your own research that you've realized are not maybe that original after all, but they're at least original to you.
You mentioned that you did a guest performance on the Exuvial album.
Exuvial were a band. I remember their demo because it was, of all the bands that were trying to rip off Cynic, they did the best job. I was like, wow, this actually is pretty close, you know. And so when we got back together, I was kind of souping around trying to find somebody, and I think I just hit up Timon, or somehow we got, you know, I reached out to him and I was like, do you still growl, you know? And he was like, yeah, you know. It's like, I think he had already moved into mentally just being a guitar player, and now he's actually an incredible melodic singer. But at the time he was, and so yeah, he kind of, he ended up being great for, you know, being a part of that record with us, which was really cool.
Persephone.
Yeah, Persephone, yeah.
Persephone.
Or Persephone, maybe.
Persephone, yeah.
Yeah, those are cool guys, yeah.
You played vocals on a song for them.
That was cool because I really resonated with the track they sent. And they were just like, do whatever you want.
Everybody, please welcome Paul Masvidal from Cynic to the stage.
It kind of created the foundation, I think, for the lyrical environment and melodies of the song. And when they tour it, they have it play as background track.
So you're always with them in spirit.
Yeah, cool guys.
He's one of our biggest inspirations, and we're very proud to call him friends.
Devin Townsend Project, you played vocals on a song.
I've known Devin for a long time, and Devin just called me and said, I got a section of a song. It's the same song that Joe from Gojira's on. Joe does like a really intense vocal thing. It's a big song of Devin's, one of those like long,
Epic, yeah. Each voice represents a certain character.
Kind of thing. Yeah, I think it's like a very epic piece, and I'm just in one section of it.
I've always described Cynic's vocals as robotic, but for you, it's more of an alien form.
Oh, I mean, I heard it as like a sci-fi kind of weird hybridized creature. So
this was happening all during your break time. Hurricane.
We're literally locked indoors.
It was during this time that Cynic sounded way different pre-Hurricane and after Hurricane.
First off, because I had a emerging melodic voice, and I was always writing vocal parts, but I was the reluctant singer. I always wanted to just play guitar. It's like
so you just let a robot do it?
Well, no, it was. I was interested in power metal bands and metal, but it wasn't my thing. But it always felt like too pretty. So I was always more into just growls. It's like if you're gonna play death metal, just brutal vocals or whatever. But then I remember there was a moment where it was like, oh, I want to have melodic parts in these songs. I want to introduce like a counter. And I think the entrance point for me was talking parts. And on this demo, the 91 Cynic demo, you can hear me do it before there was a melody. Well, I can't really sing. I felt like really insecure. And I remember getting this, like, I think it was Roland, just this little kind of pad, and I started to experiment, and I was like, this sounds fucking cool. Because it sounded like
Tron.
It sounded like an alien. And I always called it like this emotional alien.
I've always described Cynic's vocals as robotic, but for you, it's more of an alien form.
Oh, I mean, I heard it as like a sci-fi kind of weird hybridized creature. Like it was like,
okay.
Yeah, it was like not quite human, not quite alien. So
this was happening all during your break time. Hurricane Andrew.
Yeah, that's why when we went to go make Focus, no one had heard the vocoder.
Yeah.
Except the band. And it was really Scott, the first thing he says is like, oh shit, has Monty heard this? And Monty's our A&R guy who signed us, and I'm like, no one's heard this. And he's like, uh-oh. And it was like, you're a different band. And I was like,
yeah, you were a death metal band, and now you're...
Yeah, we were like, bring something new to the table, push the envelope, get out of your comfort zone. This is where art happens, It's too easy to rip people off and write. I could write 10, Slayer rip-off albums in an afternoon if you want me to. It's like, you're trying to do something new. You have to
Although I do think that there's a lot of people out there that want to hear Paul Slayer stuff, so if you want to hear that,
oh yeah,
comment. Having good music, that's just the beginning. Networking.
Oh,
you have a good manager.
That's almost more. I have friends, who like worked in PR who were like, you have to work these angles to sell yourself as an artist. One guy I worked for many years, and that he was always saying, he's like, man, this is mostly psychology. It's working with people in rooms and being easy and being a comfortable person and having a vibe.
And being available.
And being available. And I mean, you don't have to, but it helps. Maybe you become a neurotic, crazy, controlling type A artist that live in the bubble of your insanity and be an abusive person, or, there's
like
those,
Kubrick.
Sometimes there's those exceptions. There's just a lot of nonsense in that world too, and popularity has nothing to do with being great. It's all a racket, and when you see through the racket, you're like, what really matters to me is making great art. And I think it's of great merit to be a kind person and to make an effort to be easy to get along with and bring some of that into the business, because the business often brings out the worst qualities in people. I mean, I always feel like if the work is really great, that'll do the job. But I'm a late bloomer with the music business because I was so punk rock for so many years, self-sabotaging so many opportunities.
Yeah. That's why it's kind of critical for you to have a good manager, someone like that who has all the networking and understands that aspect of the business.
Yeah.
And you told me that having good music, that's just the beginning. You're on the starting line with that.
Oh yeah, that's bare bones.
Yeah.
We're already focusing on the art and writing the music and trying to become skilled, to now have to go sell this shit. It's like, oh fuck, I gotta sell this shit too. To not have to do that as the artist. It is a dance to kind of get to that place with your art. Oh, that dude Chuck, he's in that band Death. And I was like, Chuck, and then we hit it off as friends, as guitar players.
It's a tough thing to find the right people. I got friends of mine from the band Cynic. Guitar player Paul are helping me out.
I think it was the end of the Leprosy tour cycle. This was like, wow, I'm playing with a band that actually is
For legit.
Well, like signed to a record company,
Yeah.
and which at the time was seemed like a big deal, and also they had a huge following. I mean, they were like they kind of were doing pretty well already by Leprosy.
And it's a long fucking battle and just struggle to get to the top of that ladder, you know, the music deal.
I think that it's getting really big. I think that the talent that's here is making it. I think the good bands that are good bands are going to survive, and the rest is just going to move on like they always do.
People don't give a fuck, you know, it's being accepted, and being that extremity is almost common now.
Every band has their own identity.
That was like, okay, this is for real, you know, this is, you can do this. So of course, as a young person, a teenager, to have that experience, it was like, okay, I can do this. I can
Inspiring.
do it. Yeah, it pushes you to kind of keep going. It's nice to have those moments, those snapshots, you know.
You had some new energy for this tour, right?
Derek, man, that boy, he's a front man. He's a proper front man.
So you just came back from your tour from Latin America, but it looks like you're going straight back there again.
I'm going straight back to attend a meditation retreat.
Because you're all about energy. Speaking of energy, you had some new energy for this tour, right?
Yes, we did.
Two new people. Derek.
He's a front man. He's a proper front man. I mean, Max too, of course, but Max is a guitar player that growls, so he's coming at it with the guitar player mind, different kind of way of approaching it, you know. And Cynic has always been more like shoegazers, you know, we're nerdy guys. I remember years ago, and I was like peer pressured into trying to sound aggressive. It's like, hey, everybody, let's get the pit going, you know, and it just wasn't like natural for me. Like Derek, you get him on stage and this like energy gets unleashed, and all the music, all the songs just went like, it was like they got pushed into this like stratosphere of higher energy. With Derek, we go back, you know, we toured together when Meshuggah and Cynic and the Faceless toured, and Meshuggah was touring,
Obscene?
Obscene.
Yeah, Obscene,
that's
right?
it.
Yeah.
You know, Brandon and I became pretty good friends on that tour. And then Derek and Brandon are like old best friends. It helps because it kind of keeps it, that familiarity, you know, everyone's comfortable with each other and there's a lot of energy.
Yeah, then the other new energy that you have is the new drummer, Jake.
And yeah, Jake, he started tagging us with him playing Cynic stuff. And I was just like, damn, who is this kid? And he was always like writing these points on his posts. You know, what makes Sean unique is not just his pocket and his feel and all this, but it's his parts. He was recognizing things that I felt like he's responding. He's listening to that guitar part. He's listening to the vocal melody. So there was this like dialogue happening between the instruments. And for a young drummer like Jake to take note of that really struck me. I was like, wow, this he's noticing things that a lot of people haven't. So it's.
And you said he's like 20, 22, 23?
22, yeah.
22, wow, yeah. So he's a perfect age to get corrupted and get sucked into the touring lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because he wants to get the, you know, road time in. What was really impressive with him is at the end of every show, he had always a camera he would set up behind him and he'd take notes and like actually see what he could. That worked, that didn't work, I need to do this better. And I was like, wow, that's fucking cool. Imperial Triumphant, incredible touring partners, great vibes.
You talked about how you felt like you were about to almost miss the flight back.
Our flight was canceled, actually, because there are, you know, all those storms in the Northeast. But yeah, you know, it was just, again, part of the journey. I think that's the key, is finding people that know how to deal with all the bumps. And I will add, like Imperial Triumphant, incredible touring partners, great vibes. They dealt with all those things beautifully. I mean, talk about an uncategorizable band.
It's our behemoth. That's how I describe it. It's our American behemoth. That New York metropolis, 1950s, like satanic socialite. I don't know how to describe it.
It's trippy.
No, it's
very
great.
Cool.
Like I love it when bands do that. Yeah.
I know. It's like it's really authentic, you know, for those guys. You know, Latin America takes you to your edges. It's like a tour where, because it's all fly dates, you have some of those 4 a.m. lobby calls and you got off stage at like midnight. So you're just not sleeping, basically.
7 flying dates with it?
7 yeah, probably more than that.
So people who are watching this might think, oh, you guys get to go on tour and go on vacation, but that's not the case.
No, it's not. For me, a real like vacation is a retreat, like a meditation retreat. Quiet everything down. It's just like that's real vacation for me.
Down.
Yeah, I mean, we had an incredible tour manager. His name's Victor Chamuco. I have to say, top tier, man.
Speaking of which, so you speak Spanish too, right?
Sí, yo puedo hablar español. ¿Hablas español?
Español de cocina. You know, I worked in kitchens all the time, so I only know how to say pinche we, puta madre. You know, the usual. That's all I know how to say.
And I love that they have this improvisational aspect. A lot of things are kind of left to chance and
you guys were just on tour together, right?
Yeah, in Latin America. It was great. We had a great run. I love the ease in which Kenij, man, he's such a jazz guy. I think he just brought sticks. Like, he didn't even bring his own pedals. I was just like...
Not even his own pedals?
No.
Wow. Every drummer's nightmare is the house kit.
I know, and I was like, God, that says so much about him as a musician. He wasn't precious about anything.
Do you listen to this type of music to begin with, though? Like, this noisy, almost...
It's funny, like, I just told this guy, I'm old school with black metal. I came from Bathory. It's become its own subculture, and it's so interesting to me because I love the creativity. That's
Kenij.
No shit. Is that?
Yeah, it's Kenij.
Going back to Focus, like when we were starting to mix it, like the tendency was if you have two guitar players, is hard left and right pan.
Yeah.
And I remember like saying no, only like 30% maybe or something. We want the cluster, we want the wall, and I feel like a lot of that, like especially the movement post all that, it was like this hard panning, but everything feels there's too much clarity, you know, because for me I want to feel the music as one thing, not these separate parts. I want to hear it as a environment, and they're doing that for sure. It was this area that was pretty desolate. There was just warehouses and open land. Atheists were in this one, Morbid Angel that one, Death had a thing here. It was like everyone had their little warehouse, and you would just walk around from one space to the next on these and so you could find really cheap rehearsal studios. And Sean and I, as kids, actually, when we were in like junior high, found like literally a room that was like I don't even think it was legal, but it was like $80 a month or something.
We released the 90 demo in 90, and I guess till now, which we're intending to hopefully release an album by, which would probably hopefully be out by the beginning of 92, we're figuring.
Florida is not like an attendance place as far as like playing wise. I haven't seen massive halls, or like when we play out of town, the attendance is usually double that and much more enthusiastic than it is down here.
And it became like a meeting ground for our friends. And when Rob first moved to Miami, he was living in one.
You were letting me stay there until I started staying in their warehouse.
Right.
Solstice.
There was like a metal warehouse that was doing shows, and then there was...
that was the thing. We did warehouse shows.
We did warehouse parties. Yeah, actually, that was how we built the scene.
Let's see if you recognize this.
Oh, it's familiar.
Yeah. You heard this before.
The vocals for me are familiar. I don't know why.
The vocalist is a huge fan of yours.
Why do I know this?
Why do you know it?
Oh! Oh, fuck!
Damn it! Maybe when he starts singing, you might recognize it.
Oh. Not Faceless.
No.
And not Dillinger.
Not Dillinger. There might be part of a circus act.
See him in a circus.
There's a magician. There's a fire breather. There might be someone that does a bunch of stuff with their bodies that can twist around.
In the band? Oh, contortionist. Damn it. Wow, I never heard like What record is that from? Because it was like a different moment of them, and I always associate them with their more melodic parts.
Yeah, this is right in that middle before they became completely melodic.
Contortionist, that I knew it. It was like right there, but I'd never heard that like that brutal side, like where it was. I didn't realize that was the first album.
This is their second album.
Oh.
So you've kind of became familiar with them throughout their later years.
Yeah, the later stuff.
I
yeah.
see. You know these guys?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of was familiar with them. Obviously, someone alerted me to them just because of the name.
Apparently, Steph, he genuinely named it after your Focus album song, Textures. He was inspired by Textures, your song, but also in a realm to what their music is and the different layers that they have.
Oh, the guest vocal. Oh, it's interesting. She almost kind of looks like, she's got some Sarah Jessica Parker vibes going on.
And I knew that they broke up, and they just recently came back. So I know that you have a little bit of history with the Texture guys, right?
Yeah, we did a Cynic and Textures and Pain of Salvation when we played Tokyo in 2024, and Daniel joined us for How Could I, the singer, which was really cool.
This came out in 2026. It's this year. It's recent.
Is that the new album? Or?
It's a single off the new album called Genotype. It came out January 23rd.
Okay, progressive metalcore gent. That makes sense.
Welcome home, Paul, and goodbye, Paul.
I got home, but I'm taking off again, I'm going straight back to attend a meditation retreat. It was great to chat with you. Nice to do a little video version, I mean, here we are in the virtual realm.
Well, this is going to be the future now. People are not going to meet each other anymore. They're going to have robots. They're going to have like a monitor. It's going to be our faces.
Jeez, man. I mean, this is part of my joy of being in San Francisco is that there's actual pedestrian life, and I'm digging technology. I'm not opposed to all this stuff, but it's not the answer. It's just another tool.
Any last words for the fans before you take off?
Hey, and thanks to all the fans in Latin America. The audiences there are just off the hook, man. It's like oh yeah.
Yeah, no,
cool.
Latin America, they have the most dedicated metal fans. They're always crazy about
They're hardcore, dude.
Yeah. I posted a video close to 10 years ago now, and I called it 8-string bass technical death metal. And within like days, I got like 100,000 views. And I was like, oh, this is easy. And then next time I post a video, 100 views. So it's like, what happened? And you just don't know. And then it's
really meaningless.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, what are we doing this for, right?
Exactly.
We're trying to there's so much weight in making art without anybody ever seeing it, even more so in some ways. Like some of the greatest artists never get found out about, right? They just disappear.
Van Gogh only got realized only after he died.
Right. Or like an Emily Dickinson or
so.
a poet. Of course I want as many people as possible to kind of be able to hear it, but the whole content thing is just like, no more content, no more. How about just transform yourself and let that do the work rather than trying to push an idea or a scheme or manipulate something online. It just feels so overwrought, right? It's delicate, right? But this is the world we're in. Damn. Look at that thing. Fuck.
The Paul Masvidal signature model. And what color is that?
This is the Masvidalian M3.
M3.
So this is a Buckeye Burl top, and this finish is almost like, I mean, what would you call it? It's almost like a yellow kind of to a green. It's like, see the mossy green? It almost reminds me of some iterations of
reptile?
the Focus art.
Oh, okay.
You know,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sometimes they print it more yellow than the orangey.
Yeah.
And it just, but yeah, the Buckeye is just magnificent. I mean, look at that. It's just so organic, and it's just really a cool swirl.
It's almost like
it's like marble or something.
Yeah, it's like almost like some kind of flower. It's like ripe and unripe. You know how it's green on the outside?
Right, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, super organic. Beauty. What a beauty. Look at that baby. Yeah, baby.
Cool. All right.
for me, it's all an extension of the art. Like, this is no different than writing a Cynic song.
So I didn't know about this, Paul, but apparently you are not only a musician, but you are a jeweler too.
Yeah, and organite. I'm in the jewelry business now.
That's where the real money is. We can't live as musicians, so we gotta do all this stuff.
This is Seed of Life. This is one of my little, I call them ebonites. They're like little alien heads with crystals that's like onyx. And then that's a Seed of Life, and then it has the metal disc in the back. This is a pyramid shape that I invented. They have in them sacred geometry. But so these devices, I call them devices because although they're interesting sculptural shapes, is they produce energy. I love this. This is again a hexagonal shape with an opal in the center and these abalone eyes. I also do the rings. You know, these are little alien heads, and look at these little guys. These are citrine eyes. Like, look at this beautiful crop circle. This was a famous crop circle that appeared in, I want to say, 2004. If you took organic and inorganic materials equally and compressed them but using resin, they produced energy, they produced chi. The whole idea of this is beyond, you know, for me it's all an extension of the art. Like, this is no different than writing a Cynic song. It's just making things with my hands. Everything has a kind of presence. People, objects, spaces, like geometry can subtly influence how something feels, you know, and I leave that open, really. People can project their own meaning onto it, but you know, there's tension, there's structure, there's harmony. You know, like there's harmony, there's tension, release, and all of this. It's like it's all like the same language. This is just expressed visually instead of sonically. But right now, where can you get my stuff? I have Crystal Way on Market Street near the Castro. Yeah. That's it.
So right now, it looks like his online shop is not working, but if you really want him, come to San Francisco.
So how was the run? How was that tour you guys just finished?
Oh yeah, we were on tour with Belphegor, Incantation, and Hate. Belphegor, they're a really cool band from Austria. Hate, I think, was supposed to be here last year. They're from Poland, but they had some visa issues. Now everyone's having visa issues too these days, but. And then Death Metal Legends and Incantation, of course. Do you know the Incantation guys, by the way?
I don't know them, but I know.
But you're familiar with them, yeah, of course. Yeah, I know. John McEntee, he's a really cool guy, super nice. Yeah, no, of course, in our band we have Dallas from Nile, so he knows everybody. He goes way back with all those bands. So it was kind of like a reunion for everybody, so that was awesome. Every show was packed, you know. You know how like some bands are like, every show is packed, but I mean, it's not. But no, for us, every show was really packed.
Amazing.
At least like 300 people at the minimum, and it was awesome. Every one of them, even the ones that we played in the snow.
Wow.
Boston dates were snowing, some of the Canadian dates too, but people love their metal and they showed up for it. So,
any highlights? Any particular cities?
Yeah, of course, San Francisco, my hometown, was awesome. I got my own friends to show up for that one.
Was that DNA?
Yeah, that was DNA Lounge. It was an awesome run, and yeah, excited to be back on the road soon, but right now, kind of like you, we're in a writing mode, so
nice.
We'll be releasing something soon. All right. Next clip is a little of a bonus episode that I filmed during my tour with Incantation. I asked John from Incantation a very pivotal question because Anal Cunt has a song called Kyle from Incantation Has a Mustache. And in case you want to know the story behind it, here you are.
Cool.
Does Kyle from Incantation have a mustache?
Of course he does. Yes, he actually does. Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends on the era of what his mustache was, but yeah. And you know, I mean, we all know it came from Seth Putnam from Anal Cunt, and Seth Putnam used to make fun of Kyle because Seth Putnam is a huge fan of the Village People, and he would do that as a little tease to Kyle, like he looks like he's one of the guys in the Village People with his mustache. He has that porn mustache, you know?
So that's where that came from. I knew there was something behind that.
What was that voicemail in that song? Did Kyle call Seth?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Kyle from Incantation, and I have a mustache.
So what happened was Kyle went out to Massachusetts where they recorded that 40 Greatest Hits or whatever that album's called, and he played the drums for that song. Yeah, once Kyle left, they realized they forgot to ask him to say, "Hi, I'm Kyle from Incantation. I got a mustache." So what they did is when Kyle was home, and Kyle, at that time, Kyle was like in his party stage. He was probably all fucked up, waking up. Like, they call him basically in the middle of the day. At that time, for him, the middle of the day was like middle of the night because he was like on the party schedule. So he just woke up from, sleeping or whatever, and was on the phone, and Seth calls him up and says, "Okay, we have you mic'd right now. Just say, 'Hi, I'm Kyle from Incantation. I got a mustache.'" So yeah, and we actually got along really good with Seth and Anal Come Back in Day. We did 3 tours in the 90s. The stories of that tour, you're lucky not getting into fights, get hit with chairs. I remember one time, the one guy lit a broom on fire and threw it out to the audience, like all this crazy stuff. I mean, it was insane. People getting punched, glass fall on the ground, and Seth with his fucking bare feet on it. It was like, it's just insanity. But for some reason, it like worked with us because at that time we really had almost more of a punk rock kind of attitude with everything. We're just like heavy and fuck you and fuck everybody, and because it was a time, most of those tours were times when death metal was a little lower and black metal was getting really popular, so we were extra rebellious, telling everybody to piss off, and we just wanted to make it as rugged as possible.